Hello, everyone. Everybody can hear me well? Welcome. How's everyone? How's everything?
Everything good, very good.
Hey, good to see you.
Hey, nice to see you. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Good. Nice to be here with you guys. Yeah, I'm good. I may need to turn my camera off because my laptop overheats. So yeah, if that happens, then that's why. Yeah.
How you been? Any questions?
No, in fact, 20 out of the 30 minutes of the meditation, my mind was going, oh God, there's only like 4 or 5 of us. He's going to ask about questions and I don't have any questions. And then like the last 5 or 10 minutes, it went. But no questions at the moment. Actually, I do have a question. Maybe, do you want to say hi to the others first or do you want to dive in?
Dive in.
Okay. Well, so I just, I was having a look through your website and I was reading the blog about Jnana yoga. And something that tripped me up a bit or that my mind grabbed is the statement you make about it has to be a yes for this path. You know, you have to be really committed and that it's not for everybody, that it's, I think your words were, it's for advanced and ripped souls. And my mind was like, it exacerbated a seed of doubt that's always there for me anyway. Perfect. So on one hand, it's like this feeling like we're all it. Why are we don't have to do anything, we're already it. And then there's this other concept or truth that says we have to be advanced somehow, or you know.
Yeah, I get it. Well, basically all the pointers are for people to be humble, which is really rare to find. Humble people, real humbleness, you know, is really rare. And that matches, true humbleness matches people that are really open. You know, that's a really big sign for maturity, openness. You know, a little kid in its tantrums is not really mature yet. You know, it's fine, there's nothing wrong with it. But just that is just a sign of this game of truth. You have to be really, really, really humble. And like I said, that is really rare to find because everybody else knows, I know, I've read this, I do this, I need this, I've experienced this. So all this accumulation of ideas and concepts about feelings, perceptions, just accumulation of things, you know. And that statement of maturity is for the people that are not humble enough to recognize that truth, the purest of truths. You gotta be on your knees, truly. The rest is not about that, you know, it's everything about something else. To be fully awakened, to enter or recognize the reality of the self, it requires a humbleness that is rare to find, you know. And those, of course, like I said, souls doesn't exist at all. Truly, they don't exist. Souls doesn't exist. The journey of growing up doesn't exist either. People that are babies or people that are mature souls doesn't exist at all either. None of those exist at all. There is no journey to get to. There's nothing to get. There's nothing that you have to purify in order to become something or someone. That is just mental games. But sometimes in the realm of the mental games ego, we need to put some pointers for your heart, for your true being to recognize that this game is bigger than it expected to be, you know? And it's really tricky when you say something and when I share something, because sometimes people take things literally and they're not literal. The only thing that is literal and is a fact is that you are the self. The rest is fantasy, you know? It's in the game, it's in the movie, it's in the picture. That is it. Everything that comes through any single being, everything that has ever been spoken is only for the game, not for the witness of the game. The witness of the game doesn't need to recognize itself. The witness of the game is beyond awakening and dreaming or ignorance and all of those things. But within the game, there's some parts that have to be played, you know? There's some things that have to be said for the game itself, for the benefit of the game, not for the benefit of the watcher. The watcher, the true witness, doesn't get any benefit. It's not in the game at all. It's just watching a game. You know, so it's really tricky sometimes when we speak about truth, the self, dreaming, and all these things, because at the end of the day, everything that we can actually say is only a pointer about the game. If you leave everything in the game, you'll see that you have always been free. You have always been free. You are outside of the game. And funny enough, the game is still being played by itself because it's the nature of the game to express itself fully in all its flavors. And that has nothing to do with you. But of course, in the drama of the game, some things they have to be said. They have to. Otherwise, the ignorance is going to keep on lurking, mystifying or luring people into the unconscious beliefs of duality and all that thing, you know. And because of that, we have to give clarity to the, how to say that, the blind spots of the game. But it's true. Within the game, a rare soul will get to a pure exposure of truth. It is really rare because it's not rare that the truth is not hidden. The truth is out there for whoever wants it. The problem is that people, they don't want it. They think they want it, which is nothing wrong. You know, there's nothing wrong. Truth has always been immediate, simple, easy, without effort, without trying, without doing anything at all. It's the simplest thing of everything. But people, they don't want it. They want something else. They want materialistic feelings, experiences, connection, expansion, all this, how to say that, entertainment for the senses. That's what they want, entertainment. They go to the movies, they go to, everything is entertainment. So they want to be entertained. And that's fine, you know, that's awesome, you know, that's life. But there's a few that is, of course, I love the entertainment of life, consciousness and everything, but there's still something missing. There's still one little piece missing. What is that piece? Myself. Who am I? Really? What is my true nature? Really? Where do I come from? Why am I doing really here? What is this all about, you know? And there's a rare few that even they're not conscious about it, there's this little piece missing, the answer of that question finally. You know, and like I said, it's not literal anything that I even some things that I wrote on the blog, I would just throw them out to the trash because they're meaningless. Something that I actually said in the last meeting is meaningless because it's not about the words, really. No words or pointers are absolute. There's only one absolute, only one, that you are that. The rest is just fantasy. The game, the beauty of the game, the love of the game, the mystery of the game. And nothing in the game applies to you. Nothing at all, which is fascinating. Nothing that anybody says within the movie of this fantasy world of creation, whatever, nothing applies to you. Like I said, some things I have to say, or some of things have to be said in order for some people to get to that point of recognizing that they need to finally stepping into the true journey of the awakened soul. And for that, there's a lot of things that have to give clarity around it, because there's a lot of arrogance in the spiritual experiences. There's a lot of positions and concepts and ideas around it, and some things only for that, just to, hey, there's something more that you cannot really find the way you do things or the way you learn things. There's no way. So, but also at the same time, it triggers something within you that will cleanse everything that is a lie that you believe to be true. For example, the statement that says if you are here is because, or only the ones that are here are actually mature souls. Well, that's a trigger to actually, if you are here, it's because you are. There's a sensitivity within you that is ripe to listen to this. Because why? And you can just look at the surroundings. How many people actually in the surroundings are taking the time, effort, and everything to actually explore something so pure and so deep, instead of just going to the movies or go to a friend's house to watch a movie or something? There's choices that we made because they are coming from the heart. They're coming from the most inner part of ourselves that need to be nurtured, need to be refreshed, And that's something also to pay attention to, because it's like it opens up the mystery of what is really guiding all of this, and who's guiding all of this, and who's guiding you and pushing you towards more. And not many people pay attention to that light, to that beauty, to that purity, to that intuition. Not many people want to discover that inner GPS thing that is pushing you around to open yourself to your greatness. It's tricky, like I said, it's tricky. And many times I say it. I always try to never take nothing that I say literal, because sometimes I might say from one way to another, or the approach might be from this way to the other way, because at the end of the day, no approach is talking about the highest truth. The highest truth is you. Fascinating. The rest is just to give you clarity of everything that you are and everything that you are not. And also bringing light in those little blind spots that you thought something might be true and some things might not be true. But within the game, not many people are ready for this. Of course not, because they want something else. That's fine. But there are a few that it doesn't matter how it looks. It doesn't matter how it presents. But there's something that needs a final answer to the riddle of the questions of our existence. And it's so easy. It's unbelievably easy. It's fascinating. But like I said, it's just to show how many people are really humble. The people that show up to this moment, for example, or this kind of environment or exploring, they're humble. And like I said, it's rare to find someone that is humble. It doesn't matter the positions, the experiences, because at the end of the day, honestly, in the last gap to fully awaken, because there's a big difference to grow in consciousness and to break free from the jaws and nets of the unconscious behaviors of our own consciousness. Not many people see that even consciousness is the trap of the ego. Not many people see that. It's really tricky, because consciousness can become so expansive and infinite and unified with everything that many people, they don't really grasp or even notice or even question that that could be a trap too, you know? So in the last gap of full awakening, well, everything will result in the reality of the self, which is different from the reality of the elements, the phenomena, and everything in front of the real witness. When everything collapses and duality ceases, and when the veil breaks completely, in the last gap, everything will have to be dissolved. Everything. Nothing will remain. Nothing at all. Everything that you have learned, everything that you have experienced, everything has to let go, vanish. So in the last gap, all of that is worthless. You know, it's worthless. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you were dreaming, and you were at the beach, drinking a piña colada in the beach, relaxing and everything. And suddenly a tsunami went and just drowned you. And then you woke up. You're fine. Everything that happened is useless. It's just that it was just a dream. In that moment, you don't even question it. You just drop it completely because reality came forward. You are awake. And in that moment, the dream vanished completely. You don't even question the dream at all anymore. You might have a few remnants of energetic threads that are still clearing up because probably you were drowning in the tsunami, but you are awake to reality. And in that moment, the dream just completely vanished. That's it. You know, it's kind of like the same thing. When the individual dissolves, everything goes with it forever. Forever. But not many people want their individuality to be dissolved. You know, not many people want that. They still want something else, which is fine, enjoy it. But that doesn't take you away from suffering and duality. It just keeps perpetuating that inner dialogue of doubt and pain, you know, in the masquerade of mental consciousness hypnosis, which is fascinating. Numbness from the senses and the mind, and they call that awakening, which is fascinating. Fascinating. But it's really simple, you know, it's really simple. Everything really, even whatever I say, whatever I wrote, has nothing to do with reality. Sometimes it has to be with the game, to give clarity on the game, to set the playground of the game, for you to actually embark yourself in the journey of realize that you have always been the witness of the game. And when the witness of the game disappears, then you'll find reality. The witness is just the doorway to everything. Then the game changes completely. It's not even close to what it was. It's dramatically different. Dramatically, it's like beyond comparison. And there's no words that I can actually explain your true nature and the reality of where you really are and the experience that you have around everything that happens and doesn't happen. The clarity and the understanding that comes from you really fully be who you are without filters about anything. There's no way you can explain it. And at the same time, you know, but it's not coming from any filter, you know? So it's really tricky. It's really tricky to talk about truth, because the moment you start talking about truth, it's not truth anymore. You know, it's tricky. But I understand the question. But fascinating also about why it came to express the journey of knowledge, the yoga of knowledge. It was just to give a different approach, because at the end of the day, whatever you embark yourself to do, anything you want to do, it needs you first. Whatever you want to do, it needs you first. You want to explore dancing? Well, it needs you first, and then comes the learning of dancing, you know? If you want to learn yoga, first, you need to be there first, then you learn yoga. So whatever you embark yourself to do, it needs you first as the first piece to the rest. So I laugh a lot because many people are in these meditation journeys. learning and learning and learning, accumulating things and things and things and things. But they don't question that even whatever you need to learn about meditation or book or courses or anything, it needs you first. My only concern is you, the most important piece of it all. For you to understand or learn any course, you need to understand what it is about, you know? If you want I don't know, if a course of cooking, it doesn't matter what it is. You need to understand, to assimilate, to explore, to practice in order to, of course, learn how to cook. Knowledge, insight, you know, understanding. But my priority is you. I only care about you. So why don't we start by knowing who you are? Knowledge, understanding who you are, for me, is the most important thing. Why would I put attention on the learning, mental concepts, ideas, sensations, when the first piece of the puzzle is not even clear, which is you? If we get clarity of who you are, you laugh to everything. And you'll see that you don't need anything at all, because you are unbounded, infinite. That's who you are. That would be a really cosmic joke to tell that the infinite needs something. That's hilarious. The infinite needs to heal. The infinite needs to learn. The infinite needs to let go. That's just funny. You know, that's just hilarious. But that's what the ego does. That's what the belief of the ego mind individuality does. All this, you know, this, I don't know how you say it, this curtain of fantasy, just pretending to be you and acting as if it were you, and then giving you the answers to the riddles of who you are. That's what I only care about, knowing who you are, knowledge, understanding what you are, what you're not, you know, and what is really in the game, what's happening in the game, in the beauty of the movie, you know, in the beauty of the picture, because it's a beautiful thing. But it's a beautiful thing when you step into your true self and recognize that everything is in front of you, has nothing to do with you. Then everything is beautiful. Then when the witness breaks, when any sense of one, even the sense that one exists, dissolves and nothing remains, there's no words for it. And you are that, beyond words, beyond qualities, beyond form. And you are that. That's the result of it, of this. Be that. And being that is not an experience. Not even clarity, it's not even intuition, it's beyond all these qualities. There is no words for it. And at the same time, you are that. You know that you're that. You have always been that. And it was just a little dream that you were thinking that the tsunami was drowning you, but it was just a small dream. Imagine that we're right now, let's say that we're in a restaurant and we're all eating really nice food. And we're having a chat. And just imagine for 1 second, you drift out in a fantasy world, just for 1 second, in the middle of our conversation. And in that middle of the conversation, let's say that you are in Paris having a croissant. For 1 second, the fantasy of the mind can be so strong that for 1 second you can dream that you have spent 5 years in Paris every morning having a croissant. For 1 second. That's how powerful the mind is, and the fantasy of the game is, that for 1 second you can actually be dreaming for eons of time of becoming, dying, reincarnation, levels of spirituality, higher realms, becoming and going, growing up, Jesus Christ. And that has nothing to do with the real witness. In the reality of the witness, which is where you really are, there's nothing at all. No form, no notions, no qualities, no colors, no feelings, no light, no dark, no ups and downs, in and out. So all of that just applies to the ego. You are perfect, complete. If there's doubt, for example, hidden beneath the doubt, there's also certainty or clarity or a knowingness, and you're beyond both of them. Neither doubt, neither clarity applies to you. It has never been about that. But people make it about things and things and things. And they just miss the simplicity of the game. Don't make it about anything, and then you're free of everything. Freedom means free from everything. Complete, absolute. You know? Freedom is free from everything, which you are free from everything. You're already free from everything. If you think you are not free from everything, it's because you're just holding or you believe that thought to be real. You know, there's a belief, there's a concept. Don't listen to any concept, don't listen to any belief. And you'll see an openness. Don't believe anything that happens in front of you. Don't believe any belief. Don't follow any desire. Don't justify any certainty, neither the opposite of which is the doubt. Don't acknowledge nothing that is in front of you. Don't give it a name. Be empty right now. That is, be empty. Simple as that. And in that simplicity of humbleness and openness and innocence of just being here right now, it's complete. Anything other than this is just mind games. Playing with the mind will take you to more mind games. Anything that you explore with the mind will take you to mind results. If you use something that doesn't exist, which is fascinating, the ego doesn't exist truly. Illusion doesn't exist, which is the same as the mind, which doesn't exist, which is fascinating to think that if you use your mind, it will take you to a higher truth. So you're exploring a fantasy to get to a higher fantasy truth, because if you explore something that doesn't exist, it's fantasy, and the result will be fantasy. It will always end up in fantasy, but the fantasy can be so strong, like I said, that in 1 second that you can be in Paris for so many years eating croissants every morning. The fantasy of the game of the mind, it can be so strong that you can feel expanded and unified with mental imagination universes. That's how it is, because in the reality of the self, nothing exists, nothing at all. There's no mind, there's no future, there's no time, there's no space, there's no world, there's no universes, there's no bodies, there's no humanity, there's nothing at all. Only the infinite self. Supreme oneness, the only true experience that there's only one, the rest is just fantasy. You know, fascinating. But why the game is so fascinating? Because of your light. You are such an immense, infinite being that wherever your light touches upon, it reflects back your infiniteness. Not your true nature or the totality of your true essence, but at least a part of you reflected back because you're infinite, powerful light. So it's because of your light that everything exists. You know, fascinating. Bring back the light towards your own self and everything will be gone. And then you'll see clearly then, only then. How can I put this to an example? Like I said, it's everything because of your light. So like I said, I only care about you. I don't care about what is in front of you. Why would I care about things that are in front of you? They don't even exist. The only thing that really exists is you, and I care about you. That's the only thing I'm here about. So let's say, just for the sake of this conversation, that there's only the self, which is true and is literal. Anything that you add into the equation is duality and fantasy, anything that you add. And the self is beyond qualities, name, forms. There's no way you can actually talk about it. The only answer to the riddle is for you to realize that you are that. Until then, it's still mind games, fantasy games. So imagine just this beautiful example. You know, when you grab a piece of crystal of a diamond or I don't know, I don't know the name in English. Like you put the light on it, then the light spreads into multiple colors. Prisma, I don't know, like a prisma, you know? But it's the power of the light touching the crystal that creates then all this multiplicity, you know? It's the light bouncing, coming through this crystal called the ego mind individuality. That's why it looks fragmented. I don't know if that's a word. That's why you see things, colors, sensations, me, there, here, over there, silent, space, stillness, all of that is mental illusions. Believe me. Because there's all the light of the self is coming through a crystal, which is the individual, the ego. So it touches the individual, the ego, then this ego experiences, I don't know, thoughts, emotion, colors, the universe, galaxies, everything, because it's so powerful. The infinite is so powerful that in itself, even the illusion is the infinite itself. But then we'll talk about that in another day. But that's the thing. The light goes through this crystal and then this fantasy world is created, you know? Every day you experience when the crystal, let's say, hides, you go to sleep and everything disappears completely. Everything. The sense of time, the sense of space, the sense of silence, consciousness, the world, your partner, feeling, everything is gone for good. I mean, like everything. Everything goes. Everything disappears. But there's something that remains that you cannot really talk about it. You cannot really put your finger on it. How can you describe something that is beyond description? How do you explore or explain something that is beyond thought? How do you say who you are when there is not even the notion that you are, but you are? You don't need to know that you are, but you are. You don't need consciousness to recognize yourself because you are beyond consciousness. You don't need it, but consciousness needs you, otherwise it doesn't exist. So that's a really tricky question and the pointer. Who's that one which is beyond everything? Who's that one which is the source of everything? Who's that one where everything comes from? And that is who you are already now. But that's the game, how you bring that into the now when everything disappears, but you don't disappear. But that's the really tricky mystery of this, you know. It's like you go to sleep every day, everything disappears, but you don't disappear. Of course, your notions, your ideas, your beliefs, they disappear. Who you think you are disappears, but you don't disappear. Who are you then? And you are beyond everything. If you try if you want to try to find yourself in things in front of you, you'll fail, because you will never find yourself, because you're not an object to be found. You're not an experience to be found. You're not something that can be pointed out and say, hey, you are there. No, that is not true. The only pointer that I can actually bring you closer to truth is the only one that can actually is like, you are there. Who are you? You know, like, you know, the only one. Not these mental games, like focus on this, play with this, forget about things in front of you. Who's the one? Because here the invitation is to put you in such a place of trusting yourself so much that you stop looking for answer outside of yourself or even inside of yourself. You are that which is aware of the inside. You are beyond the inside. You are beyond the outside. Inside and outside is only mental frames for the ego to actually make sense to things, because it doesn't want to disappear. That is so funny about this game. You have always been the witness of all phenomena. And funny enough, no phenomena can condition or tell you who you are. Nothing. You are free already of everything. But the game is so powerful because it's coming from you. It is you. But that will be clear when you know fully who you are, not before. Before, otherwise, is just more little doorways that, how do you say, that can be triggers for forgetting and making the illusion even more real. It's easier. It's so easy, Jesus. It's like nothing that is in front of you, don't give it a name. Don't give it a name. Nothing at all. Nothing that happens in front of you, give it a name. No concepts, no ideas, you know? Then something else happens. In order for you to give a name to something in front of you, you have to recognize it first, of course. Otherwise, how would you give it a name? Before you give it a name, you have to recognize it, of course. In order for you to recognize something, you need consciousness, you know? So you need consciousness in order to recognize something, then you give it a name. That consciousness I'm talking about is the mental individuality I. You are behind it. You don't need consciousness. Who told you need consciousness? You don't need it. You're beyond it. Consciousness, everything that is creating is part of its own game, the game of consciousness. But the game of consciousness is being created for your entertainment. Not because it can tell you who you are. Because who you are is beyond even consciousness. You're beyond consciousness. The tricky is to stop playing in the game of consciousness and play in the realm of the unknown. The rest will not lead you to the radical, absolute, firm conviction that you are. That. You have to transcend consciousness, especially the people that are playing in consciousness. There are people that are not playing in consciousness, which is easy. But the ones that have played in consciousness, they have to transcend it completely. And everything starts with someone that is playing in consciousness. Of course, this is easy, simple, practical. There's someone there that is playing in consciousness. Funny enough, it's consciousness itself. But what I'm talking about is beyond, supreme, absolute. So who's this one who's playing in consciousness? That is the I. In its fantasy creation of consciousness, silence, universes, realities, coming back, going forward, reincarnation, other levels, other realms, higher states of consciousness, all of that is within the same. But you're not, you're just witnessing that fantasy. You are behind it. Just one step a little bit more closer to your own self. You'll notice that all of that is happening in front of you. Has nothing to do with you. Who's this I who's experiencing or exploring consciousness? Who's this I that you're referring to, that you believe to be? That I, of course, which is wrapped in individuality, consciousness, concepts, ideas, perceptions, here, there, or that, because it's just wrapped into everything at the same time. You're not that. You're behind it. But that's the doorway to challenge, to point, who's that one which is behind everything? Then everything will become clear. Everything will become clear. So don't acknowledge the I. Don't believe anything that the I says, the feeling of I-ness, the sensation that I'm here exploring, nothing at all. Be empty. Just be open. Don't name it, don't recognize it, don't acknowledge it. and suddenly something different happens. There's something so pure that you cannot point or grab or hold on to or make it your own. There's something different if you just pay attention to the simplicity of this. You're not the I that you thought you were. But funny enough, there's an I behind it all. There's an I without the mental concept of an I, without the conscious awareness that is an I, or the recognition that it is consciousness. Beyond that, without beyond any need, beyond any quality of direction or sense of anything, that is the true I, the real self, the infinite, in all its glory, unbounded, empty of everything, beyond emptiness, beyond the beyond the beyond. There's no way you can actually explain it. And you are that. You have always been that. You don't. That's why I say you don't need anything. Why would you need anything? If you need anything because you believe you're something or someone, and if you believe to be that one is because you believe that there's a lack somewhere. But all these lack experiences, accumulation of experiences, feelings, I've experienced this, I was, whatever. All of this is in the realm of to someone that has happened those things to them. And that's where duality and the real illusion is right there vibrating in the belief that you are this. Drop any belief. Don't pay attention to anything. Don't use anything at all. Be empty. And then you're still there. It's like fascinating. You are still there. Who's that one? Who's that one? That in the middle of the night, everything disappears, but you don't disappear. Who's that one that if you pay attention closely to this, in the simplicity of this, like I said in the last meeting or something, don't use consciousness, don't use attention, don't use your mind, don't use anything at all. And drop the need to grab onto something to justify your sense of existing. Drop it right now. Drop the dropper. Be empty. Don't use anything at all. And something else presents itself pure, radiant, self-luminous. That's who you are. And that one is I bow to. What effort is there to be? Just be. What learning you need to do just to be? Nothing at all. You just didn't know who you were, that's all. That's all. The only way to enter the real kingdom of the self, the only entrance, the only doorway is through the self itself. No other way. If there's other way, it's mental games by the ego. Consciousness is a mental game. There's only one place in you that you can actually say, I am. There's only one place in your whole universe, which is self-evident, that you can actually say, I am. There's nothing more important than you. Everything in front of you cannot say, I am. Nothing in front of you can say, I am. Funny, you can say it with such authority that there's no doubt about it. You can't deny that you are, which is self-evident. That one cannot deny itself, that it's itself the self saying, I am. That is the self, and that one is unbounded and free. Not the mental I am, not the one that needs consciousness to recognize itself as I am. The other one, that just is I amness in its own self-evident presence without the need to know it. And that one is beyond everything. You say, Gemma, something that there was something, that there's been a doubt, you know? But you cannot doubt that you are. It's impossible. You cannot say, I am not. Well, who's that one who's saying I am not? And if you find it, it always becomes to, well, I am. Truly I am. You cannot deny yourself. That's the only part that is doubtless. The rest, doubt everything. Good. Then you'll come a point that you will never doubt yourself ever again, because the only place that you are doubt-free, the only place is that you are. The mental games of consciousness will make you doubt about yourself because you think you are consciousness, because you are this I, this individual. All the doubts, uncertainties are happening to the individual. You are beyond it. It's funny because the filters of experience have grabbed many people by the hook. You know, I've experienced this. There's been so many moments of clarity. There's so many moments of unclarity. There's so many moments of no mind. There's been so moments with such a mind. There's still an individual, and that game will never end. They can fool themselves, but it will never end. Right now, they can be at peace. Give it a few years, nightmares will start crawling in. No matter how happy you are right now, if the individual is here, the nightmare will come, because the illusion hasn't completely broken down. I don't know if that's how you say it. Only the individual compares, lives in the opposites, white and black, right and wrong, happy, unhappy. You know, only the individual lives in that realm. And that realm will only stop happening when you realize that you have never been that individual. And that can be in this moment. That's why in each moment, every time I interact with you, I treat you like there's no other moment. Of course, the ego might be so uncomfortable because I will not let it escape from this moment, because I don't care what the experience of the fantasy world feels about it. I care about you. I don't care about what happens in front of you. You know, thoughts come and go, that's fine. Feelings come and go, that's fine. Even consciousness comes and go, that's fine. There's only one thing that doesn't come and go, and it's you. You are always there, present, the witness, the true witness. That's why I only care about you and your reality, your experience, where you really are, what's happening in your realm, not in the realm of the senses, at the mind and consciousness. I had to bring consciousness to the game because we have to put it down to the knees too, because it needs humbleness. It's one of the mischief, the worst mischief of it all. Because the ego has wrapped itself in consciousness to pretend itself to be consciousness. That's why I had to bring sometimes supreme consciousness to put down the ego down, to recognize that there's something beyond it that you will never be able to grasp or manipulate or grab or perpetuate. This is beyond time and space, and that's who you are. And with this, there's the clarity, the simplicity and the clarity that there's no words to express, to explain your true nature. And it's evident, self-evident that you are beyond everything. It's self-evident, simple, because otherwise, how can you witness everything happening? How can you recognize qualities happening? Like I said at the beginning, it needs you first. Everything needs you first. My only concern is to get to know you. So you get to know yourself truly, understanding. Only knowledge will break the spell. The knowledge of who you are, like that knowing. And it's tricky because like sometimes like I said, I had to bring another concept to break all the concepts. But it's still a concept. Like I said, never take my words for literal word. They're just pointing to something so pure that you are. And it's just a game in the game. You know, it's just a beautiful game of love and expression that has nothing to do with you. Nothing that happens in the world applies to you. Nothing at all. Nothing that anybody says or reads or shares or suggests applies to you. For example, this is a big one. All these millennial traditions of, let's say, astrology that have been there for 1,000 years, will this knowledge, deep knowledge about the stars, doesn't apply to you? Nothing at all. Fascinating. Something so deep and cosmic is nothing compared to who you are. But people believe that they have meaning because they think they are an individual, that the universe is controlling their movements, energetic movements, alignment with planets. You're beyond everything about that. Nothing. If all the planets disappear, you'll still be happy. If half the galaxy is destroyed, you're happy. If all the planets misalign themselves, you're happy. They don't apply to you. Nothing applies to you. I thought those things applied to me. I remember that I used to study Jyotish and all these planets because they are not really giving me what I want. All this fantasy until it became clear. It became clear that all of that game applies only to the ego and is cosmic fantasy, which is amazing fantasy, amazing creation. The individual, which is fine, there's nothing wrong with it. But you are not that. So nothing applies to you. You are free, complete. There's nothing to heal, nothing to get, nothing to learn, nothing to let go, nothing to apply to, nothing to recognize. You are free, complete. So the game has its flavors. Enjoy it. The game has its mysteries and dramas. Enjoy it. You know, you're not in the game. The game is in you, and at the same time is not. But you're not in it. You are so far outside the game that you don't see the game. Believe me, you are so far beyond the game that you don't see the game at all. It's non-existent to you. Like I said, it's tricky with words. So I'll give you another example. How can you apply what I just said to the simplicity of your true nature? Let's say that I'm going to New Zealand. And I go right now, I'm going to take my bike and I'm going to go to the airport. And I arrive to the airport. I get on the plane and I'm start going up. The more I go up, my bike disappears, the individuals disappears, the airport disappears, and then the city disappears. The more I go higher, then I start to see just the mountains and the rivers. Like the individual parts of the whole, let's say they're gone. The more I go up, if I keep on going, and let's say that I grab a rocket, spaceship rocket, humanity disappears. And I keep on just going, the earth disappears. If I keep on just going, like the moon, the sun disappears. If I just keep on going, everything disappears completely. That's how far you are from everything. But why then the illusion is so powerful? Like I said, only becomes clear until you break free from the illusion. Then you'll see that you're everything. Only then you're everything, you're everyone, you're everywhere at the same time. That's why it's so tricky, the illusion, because you cannot really separate yourself from the illusion. And the illusion is just a game, the self by the self playing with itself, but it's important to recognize what it's pointing out to the illusion, to the confusion that the illusion itself is you, or the totality of you. The illusion in its all magnificence and immensity is just a tiny little part of you, but it's still you. That's why it's so tricky to make the distinction between I'm not that, but I am that, but I'm experiencing, but I'm not experiencing. It's really tricky, it's confusing. You know, it's confusing. That's why it's hard to break free from the spell. Because the spell itself is the self itself too. Everything that is infused with the full power of the self. Full, all of it. There's nothing that doesn't have everything that the self is. Like I said it once, the self doesn't, dosification, its nature to good beings, bad beings, good countries, bad countries. You know, it's not like that. The self is everything. That's why it's so tricky, you know, to break from the spell, because you cannot deny yourself either, because everything is you. But I mean everything. Either you treat everything as you, I mean everything, or you treat nothing as you, which is easier. So you don't leave any doorway towards the senses going outward. Then, like I said, until the reality of the self blossoms by itself from the self, only then it's clear. Only then. There are still mysterious things, but it's clear in many ways. The rest is just fantasy games.
So I'm kind of understanding that there's no point in the game from an I perspective, but from the absolute or the self's perspective, why bother with the game as well?
Mm-hmm.
You know, why bother with the everything if it's all the game? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know if this is gonna make sense. Even the game is not happening.
So earlier, I think you said even something like even the illusion is the self, and then you said that that's for another day. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, because the illusion doesn't exist for the self. The self doesn't see neither the game, the illusion. He doesn't see anything.
Okay.
The self not even sees. So how do you explain then what happens when there's not even a seer or objects to be seen?
So the self isn't.
What if the self disappears too? Tell me, how do you explain when even the self is gone?
A higher self, the
That's just
supreme.
concepts, supreme. Let go of the concepts of higher, and self and everything.
Mhm.
What do? What happens?
It's nothing.
And that's the direction we're playing. Because the words cannot explain the nature of the reality of the true self, the real self, when even the self doesn't exist. The self doesn't need to know that it's the self. We're just pointers, like I said at the beginning, it's just pointer to something so pure that you are, that there's no words that can convey it. And funny enough, you are. The simplicity of this moment is so easy. Don't listen to anything that happens in front of you. And then you end up kind of like what you just said, nothing. Like, what do I say? You know, what do you say? You can't say. There's a moment that, but there's something that recognize something as if it were nothing. What is nothing is not even nothing too, because that's a quality. I'm talking something beyond qualities, and then you just collapse. Something collapses, and in that moment, your true nature blossoms. It's just right there, palpitating. The moment everything is gone, even nothingness is gone, the moment the conceptual mind is gone, the individual is gone, everything there's a moment that everything collapses. Right there, reality shines. The closer I can express reality is that there's nothing at all there, not even nothingness, but that's the only, is one pointer to something that cannot be talked about. And you are that. So easy. So easy. And that, like I said, I bow myself to completely. That one is complete, radiant, free. Beyond enlightenment, beyond consciousness, beyond everything. That is the game, the real game. Everything was just for you to get to this point, to start to recognizing your true self. Not who you thought you were, who people told you were. Because everything that you are cannot be pointed out. I cannot say you are this or that. No, I can't. It's impossible. Otherwise, I will be nuts. That's how pure you are, that it cannot be found. You cannot say, is this or that? It has these qualities. I can find it here. I can return to this place. What place are you talking about? You are not in a place. You are the witness of places, which is different. That's how simple it is. It has always been that simple. Just the curiosity to know, who am I really? Who's that one which is in the middle of every experience? Who's that one? And behind the experiencer is your true self. I read one sage that for me was inspiring in some moments. Let's see if the name comes. But there was a moment that he said, and it was funny to read it. He said, don't trick yourself. The most advanced and tricky and difficult path of it all is the Jnana Yoga. You will not find people that can actually talk about it. It's one of the most difficult ones. Is the one that is more direct, to the point, easy and simple, but it's the most difficult one. Why? Because for that you have to transcend duality completely, which is a big difference. It's a big, big difference. And I read about like fascinated, well, like, it's true. Because I've read people that have actually talked about Jnana Yoga and they have no idea what they're talking about. I've heard people talking about non-duality and they have no idea what they're talking about. Which is just fascinating how at the end of the game, I'm not saying to justify what we're exploring here. It's not about that belief, it's not about distinction. It's about showing the importance of you. Everything is pointing out to the sacredness, the beauty of you. How you are more important than everything else. Even in this cosmic game of ignorant people and enlightened people, even that there's a moment and even that will not satisfy your true self. You can be in the higher realms, for example, there's going to be a moment that not even that can actually point out to your true self. And there's a doubt lurking in that says, hey, there's something missing. Cuidado, Moca. There's something missing. There's something not quite right but I'm talking about the answer to who you are. You know, that's why all this game is justifying itself to push you towards the most important thing is you. The universe is not as important as you think it is. So I'm just saying these things, or you find these beautiful inspiration quotes from either teachers or books. They're just saying, man, here the only important thing and the most important thing and the most beautiful thing is you. That's what they're saying. It's not saying you are better or you are in the better path. No, they're saying no, even the better and the best cannot really tell who you are. And that's when the mental fantasy of becoming or going higher and higher and higher collapses, because not even the more you go higher, let's say in this kind of example, they're still missing something. And then when you had enough of the higher and you had enough of the lower, it's like, well, I need to know. And then finally, it reveals itself in its glory, free from qualities and opposites and all these fantasies, you know, that's who you are. Like I said, it's not about you feeling better by yourself. It's not about you up and people down. No, at the end of the day, there's no one out there that exists other than a reflection of the cosmic game, pushing you to rediscover who you are. At the end of the game, that's it. That is how simple it is. Everything that exists is trying its best with all its love, show that you are the most important thing. Because without you, nothing exists. But you still exist. And that's the gift of life and death to you. To discover your fullness, your nature, your infiniteness, your immortality, your beyondness. That's the gift. That's the gift. And it's so simple a gift because you're already that. There's nothing that you have to attain. There's nothing you have to get clear about. If you have just the proper understanding of the simplicity of just be here, witnessing, contemplating, without the recognition that you are, suddenly it's evident. It's self-evident that I believe was just blocking the view. It was just a belief that I am this individual body, mind, conscious being. You are beyond a conscious being. Don't define yourself, and it's easy. That's how easy it is. You know, that's how easy it is. You have to do anything. Doing is for the ego. What do you have to do? You just are contemplating self-evident. You know, imagine the sun. It's just there, radiant, self-luminous. Doesn't do anything. And a lot of things are done by him without he even realize it. He's just there, contemplating. Not even contemplating, what is a way of saying it? Imagine the sun saying, I need to, I have to practice this, I have to let go of that so one day I can become the sun. Well, you're not a sun, you're a candle pretending to be a sun for one day to dissolve itself into the sun. You're not. Just because you're a candle that is light up with fire doesn't mean you're the sun. But some people, because they feel this fire, they already claim authority to be in the sun. And they are not radiant enough. But that's how the game is. It's just fascinating. Stop pretending to be a candle, a light up candle. Stop pretending that you're fire. Stop pretending that you are. And then your true nature reveals itself in resemblance to the example of the sun. You are the sun. You're not a candle. You don't need anything. A candle needs to be light up. It needs fuel. It needs wax. You know, it needs someone to light it up. You're the sun. Self-luminous. You don't need anything. Your own self. Your own presence. Fascinating. Your own self, your own presence is the self itself. No division, no distinction. Don't look for feelings, sensations, experiences. Don't look for anything. Just be and let itself reveal to itself by itself. Believe me, it's no other way around. There's no way. There's no other way. There's nothing the mind can do to actually dissolve itself in the self because the mind has never existed. So anything that it does is just a waste of time because it's still in the fantasy world, in the realm of, in the illusion. Just be yourself. Rest in yourself. Have curiosity of that self-evident presence that you are. Who's that one? Where does it come from? And something starts to reveal that sense or that which is behind the sense that you are behind it, and it's just self-evident that you exist. That one is the infinite. The gift of the infinite to you is you. He is you. He's not a part of you. He's not inside of you. He is you. All this, I am coming here, is within me. All of those things are just duality and division. The self is you. That's the gift. It's not inside of you. It's not outside of you. Nothing. All those just anxiety to its best. That's how simple it is. That's why you don't have to look for anything. Stop the looking, stop the search, stop the doing, stop everything and just be here. And then know yourself to be that. Mahima?
Yeah, even the fact of acknowledging that I am or I am that or whatever, that's even too much.
Mm-hmm.
There is not even the need of any recognition or any understanding of it. That's already too much.
I know. They're just pointers.
Yeah.
They're just pointers.
Yeah.
And fascinating enough, there's something that knows all of this to be much. You know, there's still someone there that knows, and that's who you are. Pure knowingness, supreme knowingness, without the need to know, but knows itself to know. You know, it's like self-evident, without distinction, without objects to know, without identification with anything, without the recognition of knowingness even. But there's something that knows, that is, without the need to know, without the conscious knowledge that is. It's just like I said, it's just then you're like really exploring what we're talking about, you know? There's no words that can explain fully who you are, really. The question who you are or who am I is only still for the individual, but it's still pointing out or is pointing or helping for you to recognize that which is when everything collapses at once. And then you just stay silent, empty, without words. You're like, what do I say? There's nothing to say. You know, like, but there's evident that you are. You know, it's evident that you're still here. You are here. Just to put into perspective, you know, that one. Simple, huh? If you're open, listening from the heart, with curiosity, everything that is blocking will fall by itself. You don't have to do anything. And I mean everywhere, everything you do, if you allow yourself to be empty and open to each moment, there's nothing for you to do there at all. When you close your eyes, let's say the next time we meet before we actually start our conversation and meeting, just let everything be without desire, without the mind, without any action, without any goal. Just presence, witnessing. You'll feel freer. without doing. What makes it really simple is don't give a name to anything at all. Don't acknowledge anything at all. Don't give it a name, nothing, neither to you or the things in front of you. And then there's nothing that you can say actually about what happens afterwards. Explore that, be that, make it simple. There's nothing for you to do. Not even the action to contemplate. You cannot really put into action contemplating or watching because you're already witnessing everything. That's your nature. Just don't fall the traps that are in front of you. Believe me, you don't need to see anything at all. There's nothing that you have to let go, purify, practice. Jesus Christ. Nothing. You are complete. Just laugh at the proposal that you need to do something for one moment in the future that you'll be complete and radiant. Just laugh. Then the game changes. Like I said, the only piece that was missing is that you didn't know who you were. That's it. That's it. That's the only thing that was missing. You didn't know your true nature. Your true nature cannot be named, ni conceptualized, neither feel, none of those things. You are beyond all of those things. So just now you just have to laugh. Everything that is in front of you, ha ha ha, I'm not gonna fall into the trap. Ha ha ha, I'm gonna fall into the trap. And then if you just laugh, so suddenly you just like start to feel lighter. You don't waste energy into mental nonsense. You don't have to fight anything, reach anything, get to here, not going there, coming back from somewhere else. It's like you're just here without rejecting, without accepting. Just here. And then everything is simple then. Because then you're not involved in the game of creation of life. Let life do whatever it wants to do, which is entertain you. If we go to the movies, you are being entertained by a movie. In the movie theater, there's a movie being played in the screen. You know, you're the watcher of the movie. You're not in the movie. Just enjoy the movie. Don't make it about you. Don't think that you are in the movie. You have never been in the movie. I shared the proposal to explore this idea, which is resemblance or resemble. I don't remember how to say it in English. What I'm talking about. You have never identified with anything. That's impossible. It's like saying to the sun, I'm a candle, I need to go to therapy. It's impossible. The sun will never identify with anything other than itself because it doesn't need to identify with anything because it knows itself to be. It just is. So when I made the proposal that play with, you have never identified with anything at all, ever, ever. And you will never, which means you will never be able to identify with anything. It's impossible for you to identify with anything. But if a belief is in front of you that says, I believe I have doubts, I believe everything underneath, you don't even identify with that I. You're just watching a cosmic game of an I-ness and you're beyond it. If you treat yourself as that which has never and will never identify with anything at all, if you really are open, like I said at the beginning, humbleness and openness, then you just laugh. It's just fascinating, you know, because everything that happens in front of you has the quality of identification. But you have never identified with anything. So what do you do, or how do you treat this feeling of identification? As a trick. That's it. And then you laugh. You see it for what it is, something that is not truth, something that pretends to be truth, which is different. Imagine that we're walking on the, let's say, New York, in the city, and we see Michael Jordan on the street, and next to it, we see a pretender to be Michael Jordan. You don't even pay attention to the pretender because you have the real thing next to it. You don't even know there's a pretender. You don't even care there's a pretender. There's a few that will be dazzled by the pretender. Believe me. But you don't have to. The real thing is here. Simple and easy. You don't have to get confused, neither mesmerized by the emotions or the propositions of the elements, sensations, feelings, all of those things. They're there, it's fine. The problem is when we treat those things as if it were us, and if they were gonna tell us who we are, which is impossible. Nothing can tell who you are. Like I said, not even supreme emptiness, supreme consciousness can tell who you are. Even that. Not even the higher of the higher of the higher or the higher of the higher of the higher can actually tell who you are. Imagine how big you have to be that even the highest of the highest of the highest could be the lowest of who you are. Like I said, you only laughed and feel like, Jesus, I always thought, I always believed. But like I said, the belief can create fantasies. Just challenge the eye that believes. Don't listen to the eye that thinks. Don't pretend that that I is you. And then something else reveals itself to be so pure that is not an object.
Maybe I'm taking your words too literally again, but when I hear you talking about your laugh, it sticks a bit because I'm like, well, who's laughing?
I know.
Is it like because the ego wants to claim it as, oh, that's not me, ha ha ha, but it's
True.
not. So I'm getting a bit stuck on like.
I know. Question that one. Who's that one? Who's that one that tries to understand, filter, conceptualize, so it can be used for the future? For example, many people have described the self as pure awareness, existent bliss. That's a way to describe it, you know? For me, I don't agree with that because the self is beyond description and you're giving description. So you are talking about something that is superficial to the real self, you know? Even the self is still a concept, you know, but you know what I mean. So the best way I can describe the simplicity of who you are is you are as if, but you are not that. You are as if you were space, but you're not a space. And that is important to get clarity on. You're not a space. You're not silence. You're not stillness. You're not consciousness, but you are as if, but you're not that. Because there's nothing that I can say that you are. Nothing. But I can say that your nature is as if it were space, but it's not space. Because if you are witnessing space, you cannot be the space, not even the space. You know, if you are witnessing even nothingness, I can say your nature is as if it were nothingness, but it's not nothingness. Because who you are has no qualities, names, forms, notions, nothing. So like I said, it's pointers. Like if I say, just laugh, well, your nature is as if it were, I don't know, not even joy, I don't know, it's tricky. It's tricky. because like I said, one of the last barriers to know the reality or the self as the self, which is the only reality there is the witness has to disappear too. The witness has to be completely eradicated too. Any quality, notion, phenomena, doing has to be gone too, you know. But I say sometimes I've said this to the Spanish students, you know, the quality of witnessing is one of the most powerful things that come out of your nature. Your nature is beyond qualities, but if we grab one quality that comes out of you, would be witnessing, you know. But even that you have to transcend it, and then there won't be any witnessing, because witness also implies someone watching something, let's say an event, and the event is independent and apart from the witness, which is pure duality, illusion still. But that's a really powerful pointer or sign or signal that can push you so in and make distance to everything that then when this collapses, then only then I like contemplating and witnessing is really powerful, but who you are is beyond that even. So, and for that I cannot really talk about. There's no way you can talk about it. I mean witnessing is already powerful enough. You are the witness of it all, and when you know that you're the witness of it all, question it, break free from it, and then we cannot really talk about it. What happens afterwards? We can't talk about it. And you are that which no one can talk about. No, everything is just a pointer or as if something. No. Why then all these pointers? Because I don't want you to have any more blind spots ever again. You know, any blind spot that is left out is a possible doorway to fantasy world. Any blind spot. So with this, you won't have any blind spots because it will take you to the core of the core. It will take you to the root of roots. Like I said, it will take you to the inside of the inside of the inside. And then is you and the self alone. The rest is just the game of the self. I'm not, no, there's no way I can actually talk about beyond it. But at least I can put you in a place where it's a matter of speech, you know. It's not about that. Even what I'm saying is just false, but it's a matter of way of saying it. That's where you and the self are left alone to explore and unite and kiss each other and hug each other and finally get to know each other for that split to dissolve, you know. That's where it really happens, in the realm of beyond nothingness, where everything collapses. That's where you really meet your own self, and then will become evident. Like I said, there's nothing more important to me. I said it. You. You're the most important thing to me. I only care about that one before everything. If you explore, if you, let's say you are experiencing love, who's that one? If you're experiencing, let's say, a nightmare, who's that one? I only care for that one. Because the moment that one recognizes itself as the self, everything is gone. Everything is clear. There's no chains in you. There's no limitations or lacks in you. It was just a misunderstanding of your true nature, regardless of the belief of who you think you are. That's it. You're not this I. You're not individual. You're not this who experiencing things, who's witnessing things, who's exploring things. No, you're not. You're not that one. You can't be that one because that one is a mental construct, and sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there. And this is the exploration. You. Nobody's in front of you. You. So let the doubts be there if they want to be there. Who cares? They don't apply to you. If there's moments of clarity or certainty, who cares? It doesn't apply to you. You don't need those things for anything at all. Then you're free from them. And you will never have doubts ever again about who you are. There can be doubts about the practicality of life. Nah. But you are coming from a different place. Doubt-free place. And the only place that is doubt-free is in the recognition that you are. The rest can be put into question. Like I said, you can't deny yourself. It's the only place that is fearless, bold enough to recognize itself as that, doubt-free. The rest, don't pay attention to it. Is worth anything. It brought you here. It gives you a quality of understanding that is required for the humbleness of being. You know, everything that we went through, it's fine, you know, has give us experiences in life that we needed. That's fine, but it brought us to this moment. That was the only purpose. To bring us to this point where something else will take charge of us. Something else will be responsible for everything in a different way, from a different light. And it's a different game. You just gotta be so empty of everything right now that you let yourself guide by your true self. That's how easy it is. It has always been that easy. There's nothing else for you to do, only to be so here, so simple to be here. Empty of mind, empty of, like I said, consciousness, even that's important. You don't need it. Something else is in charge now. Something more powerful than consciousness. You just have to be here, simple, quiet, attentive. That's it. Nothing more. Don't use crouches. Don't use anything. Don't depend on anything. Something will take care of you in all levels. You just gotta be here empty, and that's it. Don't go to anything that belongs to time. Everything that you have learned is in the realm of time, and time is mind. Mind is ego. Ego is illusion. Illusion is I. Everything is death. Oh, past is death. Everything that you have learned is death. Why would you bring it to this beautiful moment to make a mental hypnosis about something? Just be here, empty, free of everything. And then something else shows up. More powerful, that doesn't depend on anything. It just relies on itself because it's the self. Like I said, self-luminous, self-evident. And you are that. How's the weather over there?
We just finished to go through a huge storm with lightning and all sorts of things during the whole talk.
We're lucky today again because supposedly there were gonna be really red flags storms where I am, like big time. But for some reason they stopped, which is awesome. I was like, yeah, wait, just one more day. Tomorrow, move on.
And we don't have that many lightning here, you know, big storm like this. We normally don't have them, but yeah, today was quite strong.
How's everyone?
Nobody left.
Well, I haven't left.
Hey, Gavin.
Gavin here. I'll
So
give you a picture.
great to hear you. I'm so happy you're here.
Sorry about all this. I'm not supposed to see it. No,
You look great.
Wonderful. That's a wonderful evening. Thank you very much. And I have to say, elaborate what Mahima said. That was a really powerful storm we've had. So much thunder and violent. Anyway, it stopped now, and it didn't distract me from what you were saying. And I'm very grateful that I will be able to listen to a recording of this talk, because you've packed so many things into that I suppose you can condense down into one or two issues. But I've got to tease them out, listen to them again. But thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. That's what I wanted. Also, you guys have access to the recordings and everything, because sometimes there's little pearls that just light up everything, and immediately all the little darkness goes away immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see you, Gavin, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm amazed how you can keep bringing fresh thought for 2 hours. It's remarkable. But I suppose it's not fresh thought to you. It's all the same story.
Yeah, for me, it's new to me too. I'm just witnessing as they come. I don't do anything. I'm also fascinated to see what comes out of my mouth. Yeah, I'm just like, okay. Because at the end of the day, nothing has to do with you. That's fascinating. No. It's beautiful.
It's a revelation, actually. It kind of ties up a lot of loose ends for me, but they're still loose. I have to retie them again and again.
Yeah, I understand.
Because it's very easy to lose sight of those things. And I suspect one of the lessons for me to learn is to remember those lessons when I need them. Anyway, thank you, Satsang.
Yeah, my pleasure, my joy. Whatever helps, you know. I remember there were moments for me that they were not really full of light. They were a little bit dark. So I had to actually, like you, had to use some things to help me, remind me, or inspire me, or give me clarity, because I didn't know, you know. So I did everything on my part to either read a book, write something important, or something that will just help me. And I will just try to make it a game. And everything started by itself just to settle natural, just natural. And suddenly became natural and more natural and evident, you know. But yeah, sometimes we gotta do what we gotta do, you know.
Well, it's a temptation to want to make notes.
Yeah.
But the notes that you make, they're never evident when you need them.
True.
So it's got to be embedded in your experience. Then it will come to the surface when you need it.
It'll come. Just be open and quiet.
Yeah.
You'll see.
It certainly makes things, you make things so uncomplicated, which we need. We don't need complication in life.
Yeah, life is already complicated as it is. You know?
Yep.
Everybody good? I can just keep on going and be here. Believe me. But I understand there's night, and I don't want you to just feel like a cramp in the back. You know?
Yeah, well, I'm lying on my bed, so I've got the easiest position. Maybe.
Daniela wrote on the chat. Thank you, Dani. Good to hear from you. Well, it was a joy to be here with you again. I'm so happy because we can get to see each other again now often, you know, a little bit more constant continuity, so we can share and explore and keep diving into this beautiful game, which is so simple. It's so simple. Sometimes I laugh, it's like, what do I actually speak, or what do I actually, because it's so self-evident, you know, it's so self-evident, but it's just the joy of exploring and flowing with life, you know. So,
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's great to see you again, and it's been very helpful. Very helpful. For no one.
Good. Yeah, being no one is so easy and so freeing. Why would you want to be anybody? Why would you want to be a thing when you can just be nothing? And then, ooh, game time.
Game time for no game. Anyway, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're the ones that are creating this and just following the thread.
Yeah, thank you very, very much, Satsang.
Thank you all. I love you. See you next time. Hopefully I'll let you know when the recording will be uploaded, so you can get to see whenever you want. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you.
Ciao.